Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We've got a lot of people in the chat already. Please hit the like button. Let's take a look to see what we did yesterday. We had the morning show, the evening show, combined evening show, had a couple of extra losses on there. That's okay. They pick us up all the time. Again, we have a 6-7 day overall. Morning show did really well, though. I think it was 4-2 overall. Let's do better than 6-7. But before we bring on the stars of the show, I do want to remind everybody we've got the prop show, which features none other than prop stars Dave Richard and Eric Cohen. That's today at 5 o'clock. NFL Week 2 player props. Honestly, you don't want to miss that. It sets you up for everything, including DFS, which Mike and I and Meg Schaub covered yesterday. So much content coming your way, but enough about that. I think everybody right now, right here, is waiting for Big Pick Energy Friday. Here we go.
Let's go! Yes!
Danny Brasco, Chip Patterson, I believe. Yes, that's Mike McClure. Well, let's see. How do we start this? Oh, I know. I'm a little tired. I think I need my chip me up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Snake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Boy, I'm excited to be back with you and ready to take a big old bite out of this weekend slate. We got Friday picks, we got Saturday picks, and we're ready to give you some winners. Let's go.
That was amazing. Someone clearly has kids with that dinosaur. Absolutely love to see that. Speaking of kids, Buckets, you are probably the youngest of the group. I'm just, hey, let's call it as it is. But I got to be honest.
My large adult son, Buckets, I actually got this from his playroom.
Yes. Buckets, I got to tell you, I think you're from the future, because every time I go on your Twitter feed, you've hit another interception prop. What's your record again?
I am currently 6-0 on NFL INT props. I'm learning some of the lingo here, Chip and Mike. Don't you guys worry. But yeah, see, I had a lot of people asking my strategy for finding those picks. And so if you're okay, I'm willing to share that strategy with everyone.
Please.
All right. I take all the games and I put them in a spreadsheet, right? Real nice, real tactical. I close my eyes and I point at one, and then I flip a coin. Heads, I pick the away quarterback. Tails, I pick the home quarterback to throw an interception. And that's how it's going so far.
6-0. He's from the future, folks. He's got the almanac. Mike McClure, you're kind of from the future because you really liked the Bills yesterday. Your response to yesterday's game?
Yeah, look, I don't honestly think the Bills were even that great there. They played fine defensively, but just the good fortune of having some turnovers and the ability to run the football, which I think is a good news if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, to get weeks like that where you don't have to ask Josh Allen to take 10 hits and you don't have to ask a lot of certain things. So I think it was kind of a de facto bye week for the Bills, and just the idea that you get that in a division road game, it's very beneficial to them and their health going forward. I know they did lose someone defensively that's certainly going to be concerning, but offensively, yeah, I think that it's certainly, we obviously were on the right side with the Bills last night, and yeah, happy to get the win there.
Danny Brasco, I got to ask you, when it comes to the AFC East, my team all year was the New York Jets, and we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, Miami sustained a really tough injury. Tua injured yet again, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back anytime particularly soon. This does seem like a two-horse race for the AFC East between the Bills and the Jets, does it not?
It does, and I don't want to hit the panic button too quickly on the Jets. More concerning than the offense to me was the defense, but it was against the 49ers, despite not having Christian McCaffrey. They're still a lead on offense. So, week one, I'm not going to freak out about the Jets, but like Mike said, I mean, the Bills de facto bye week, I kind of really like how he put that. Like, what a great position they put themselves in, even without Taron Johnson last night. Christian Benford really stepped up. They showed that they have depth there. So I think I'm higher on the Bills than I was entering the season for sure, plus 2.5 cashed. And Buckets, man, you remind me of this Wall Street Journal article that's famous for a monkey throwing darts at a board and an analyst picking stocks, and the monkey did slightly better. I mean, why not, right? Have a go.
I've been called a child and a monkey so far, and we are currently 5 minutes into BPE. I'm just throwing that out there for everyone.
Insults to monkeys and children, indeed. You're right, Buckets. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, Buckets, let's transition right here, right now to your picks. Before we do that, though, I do want to point out, Bitsy asks, so I do have a golf pick later in the show, a three ball. We hit 2 of those yesterday, 2 for 2. Are we running back Meisner before it starts? Nice cash on CT Pan as well. So I'm actually backing off Meisner. I still like the play. I think it's playable. It's definitely a lean. I personally didn't bet it. I'm a little afraid that Pearson Cootie is going to get hot with the putter, and that's why I sort of lean away from that one. But I do have one if you want to play that, I have no argument. But I do want to mention that I didn't play it. I have a different play later on that goes on later on this morning. Sox Nation says, pound the Rebels mortgage payment. Very interesting. We have some college football picks. You know, Chip Patterson's here. We're going to have college football from Mike and Chip Patterson later in the show. But right now, Buckets, we got to get to soccer. What's going on the pitch? We got games today?
We do have games today. Bye-bye international break. You will not be missed. Let's focus on some domestic footy here as we go to the German Bundesliga in kind of a crazy matchup between FC Heidenheim and Borussia Dortmund. And when you think of the powerhouses in Germany, you think of the Bavarian giants Bayern Munich. You think of the reigning champions of the Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen. Who you don't think of is newly promoted side FC Heidenheim, who has the most goals scored and the least goals conceded 2 match days into the Bundesliga. It has been an absolutely incredible, a dream start for this club, but that dream start is finally going to come to an end as they face a Dortmund side that will be desperate to turn things around here and who are the much better team. I think Dortmund win this outright. However, I will say the fact that we ever have a game playable with both teams to score at -135 for pretty much any Bundesliga team at this point is something you have to play. Heidenheim, 6 goals scored in their opening 2 matches. They haven't conceded yet, but Dortmund just have too much firepower. I think Dortmund probably score 2 or 3 here, but Heidenheim, they're sneaky. You don't want to mess with them. I definitely see them scoring as well. Both teams to score all day on this first match. And then I'm taking us all to a journey to the Portuguese Primeira on a team that we have already bet on 3 times on BPE itself. I'm looking at the giants of not only Portugal, but the giants of Europe, Sporting Lisbon, as they travel to take on FC. That is the biggest spider I've ever seen, but I'm a professional, so I'm going to get through this as best as I can. Sporting over 2.5 team total is currently priced at -105. That is absolutely ridiculous considering they've scored 16 goals in their opening 4 matches, and FC Aruca are terrible at home. Sporting over 2.5 goals, -105. Borussia Dortmund, both teams to score. Lock them both in, and I'll see you at the pay window or whatever it's called.
I'll see you at the Exterminator.
I'll see you at a new apartment. I'm not. That is.
He's running on just instinct right now and fear.
Could I just tell you, he got through that take without missing a beat. Now, no, he wasn't engaging the camera. He has a spider alert. But the fact that he was able to just deliver on that take, if you're listening to the podcast, go back and check out the YouTube show because that was actually really impressive. Buckets, good luck. We're gonna go ahead and transition. If you want to, is there a spider update for us?
I'm going to turn my camera off, and if you hear screams and gunshots in the background, just know that I lost the battle. I'll be right back, guys.
Fair enough. Wow, that was impressive. All right, Danny, we want to get to you because we know we have a huge fight. I know we have a huge fight featuring Sean O'Malley. We've got some undercards that I know you want to get to as well. Couple comments in the chat. Big Cheesy says, I know he's in a slump, but Devers over 1.5 total bases at +120. I do want to mention we're going to have a lot of baseball picks on SportsLine. If you're not a member, you're going to want to check that out. And Steve Folkert says Kansas State -7. We're going to get to that game later as well. And Travis R., welcome. He says, holy cow, I made it to a live show. I think I hear Buckets terminating the spider as we speak. You could turn off your mic too. Or he's not even in here. I don't know where that's coming from. All right, Danny Brasco, what's going on with Fight Night?
It's at the Sphere, Sia, Las Vegas, UFC Fight Noche 306. And Dana White has promised this to be perhaps the greatest sporting event in human history. They're going to do all sorts of IMAX effects with the Sphere. You've seen what they did with the U2 concert, pyrotechnics, new fight kits, and the entire fight night will honor Mexican heritage. So they'll have different worlds and stories. And throughout the fights, the world will change and there'll be different environmental change. I mean, it's supposed to be really exciting in terms of production value. I hope it delivers. And I hope these bets deliver for you guys, too. We're going to start with the main event of the evening. It's Sean O'Malley taking on Merab Dvalishvili. Give me the sugar show to continue. I don't want you guys to overthink this and be too sharp and think the Merab the Machine, the world-class cardio, is going to neutralize and outpace and drown Sean O'Malley. It's not going to happen, guys. The way Merab fights requires him to walk through the fire. And Sean O'Malley is a sharpshooter, man. He only needs one. You saw what happened to Aljamain Sterling, the grappler that took him on. He was not able to take him down. Aljo is bigger, he's stronger, and you could argue he has better technique. Merab just outpaces you. If Sean lands that one good shot, we've seen Merab hurt by lesser strikers like Marlon Moraes, even Henry Cejudo in his last fight, wobbled him with a left hook. Sean is too precise and crispy on the feet. Merab is also very reactive to feints. Sean has maybe the best feints in the UFC. I think he pieces him up and finds a knockout. So give me Sean O'Malley all day here, man. Buckets is back. Buckets, I'm expecting a potential showdown here. Alexa Grasso in the co-main event against Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going with Grasso, guys. I think that she's going to keep the flyweight title. I'll give you a stat here. Champions that are fighting a championship fight between the 125 and 170 pound divisions that are 35 years and older, 2-32 in their last 34 fights. The 35 and over curse is real, guys. And at this point, for as amazing and tactical as Valentina Bullet is, it just feels like she's lost that mental edge. Grasso has submitted her. She's dropped her in the last fight. She's gotten some help from the judges with a little cheeky 10-8 round that gave her the draw. And now Valentina, who was complaining about being sort of robbed on the previous fight in Noche, walks into another favorable backdrop for Grasso again. So I just don't see a world where Valentina outpoints her again. I think Grasso keeps the pressure Mexican boxing in her face and retains the title. And finally, guys, I'm going to give you a two-piece here. Another fighter on the main card, Mexican fighter I want you to back, Ronaldo Rodriguez. We got him at -135 for SportsLine members. That line is on the move. Get him now because he's a fiery grappler that I think is going to submit his opponent, Ode Osborne. You can bet him by +350 by submission. Ode Osborne's been rear naked choked in back-to-back fights. Ronaldo Rodriguez is a rear naked choke specialist. Look for him to bring the fire and get Ode Osborne out of there with a choke. I like him to win. I like to win by sub. Sean O'Malley, Alexa Grasso, and Ronaldo Rodriguez for UFC Fight Noche, guys. Let's cash in. Good luck.
Absolutely love that. Buckets, the update.
Well, I've got two updates. The most important update is that I did, in fact, defeat the Spider. I am 1-0 undefeated in my own UFC debut here at Casa de Buckets. But the second update is that I missed most of Danny's take here, but I heard one thing that just didn't sit right with me. So, Danny, if you're down for a little bit of, what do they say, mano-y-mano, I think is the phrase here, I'll take you all day on that Sean O'Malley pick. I do not agree with you at all that Sugar Sean O'Malley is going to beat Merab here. I don't think Sean is frankly that good. I've been calling him overrated for a very long time, and I've looked like an idiot for a very long time because he is running through people. However, O'Malley wins his fights by KO and TKO, and Merab does not lose to strikers. He is a guy that is going to stall this game out, match, whatever you want to call it. I've actually got Merab winning this one by decision. I think it's going to be a very boring fight with your boy going down and not having his hand raised at the end of the bell here. So if you'll take the showdown, I'll take the juicy +110 here on Merab, the machine. I can't say that last name, so I'm not going to try. But Danny, how you feel today, brother?
Jay, I want to say something after this, but for the punchline, Snake, hit the music. It's gonna be a showdown.
Well, go ahead, Brasco.
Well, here's what I'll say. And Buckets makes a fair point, right? Merab is great at neutralizing strikers. He did it to Jose Aldo. He did it to, some really, really good strikers who were able to just, Peter Yan, who just literally couldn't get their offense started. The thing about Sean that people are sleeping on is his grappling defense. He's over here competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments, lacing up like nasty, unorthodox guillotines, switching grips up, doing arm drags. Like, I see him greatly improving his grappling defense. I can see a world where Merab is stuck in guillotines and O'Malley uses that to get out of bad positions. So I think that his grappling defense is still slept on, and I think Merab struggles in this fight as much as Aljo did potentially.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make that play, Merab, O'Malley, whichever you choose, you can do it at BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. We got a lot to get to, including this Kansas State game, which has the interest of a lot of people in the chat. It has the interest of me as well, and Mike McClure. We're going to hear what he has to say about this game right after this break from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Quickly, before we get to Mike's pick on the Kansas State game, Rick Funcannon asks Danny Brasco, can you ask Danny to get his take on the Canelo fight? Several people in the chat asking. Rick, thanks for pointing that out. Danny, quick take on that.
Canelo's minus 1,800, and I was high on Edgar Berlanga coming up through the scene. He was a knockout king. He could not be stopped. But I think his style is poorly matched up against Canelo. So I don't think Berlanga has the chance to pull off the one-hitter quitter against a savvy vet, champion like Canelo. But there's really no way to play it. Maybe decision. I'm going to stay away from that with that juiced line.
All right. Go ahead, Buckets.
I just want to jump in here since Danny didn't actually give a pick there. I'll help the chat out, and I'll take Canelo money line at minus 1,800. Brave of me, I know, but I'm willing to be the fall guy here.
Our play.
Profiles encourage. Very well done. All right, Mike McClure, let's talk some college football. We got Kansas State and Arizona tonight. I think it's one of a couple of different games. I really like one side of this. Talk to us about your play.
Yeah, I personally, I love the Kansas State side of this game. I'm going to be looking full game and potentially in game, but I'm starting on first quarter for Kansas State. I laid the -1.5, -114. I like the spot for them. First of all, I think they're going to start really well with scripted drives at home, but it's a significant home field advantage. One of the better ones in the Big 12, particularly in primetime on a Friday night like this. It's just a big matchup early. And one thing to consider here too, if you're betting full game, this is not a conference game. It is a conference game, but it doesn't count in the conference standings, was scheduled before the alignment. So if Kansas State were to lose this game, it does not impact them in the Big 12 standings. So keep that in mind as well. But when I look at this particular matchup, I have some major concerns with Arizona's offensive line. They have looked awful off the offensive line, which has frankly led to them having some slow starts. And then they get into situations where the game opens up a bit. They hit McMillan. They look good offensively and they get rolling. But in this environment in Manhattan, I personally think that this is a spot where Kansas State's going to have a scripted drive and they're going to run the football a lot. Kansas State is a team that is going to run the football around 60% of the time. Actually, they're going to run, which is certainly not the norm here. So what I like in this particular spot is just basically a first quarter scoring drive from Kansas State. I think it's going to be Giddens and Avery Johnson running, averaging almost 7 yards a carry on the ground. And then that defensive line versus Arizona's offensive line in the first few drives. That's where I see the edge being in this game with the home field advantage in prime time. So I do like Kansas State here, laying the 1.5, would lay the 2.5 as well, would not lay the 3 at even money that is floating out there in a few spots in the market. So 1.5, 2.5, fine with, would not lay the 3 in the opening frame.
Okay, don't lay the 3, but you can play it up to 2.5. Chip, I know you have a play in this game as well. So I'm going to give out my play real quick so we can get to your plays, Chip. You've got a few plays to give out in college football. I'm going right back to the Pro Core. We're 2-0. We're trying to go 3-0, and I'm going to do it with JJ Spawn. He was a popular pick going into this tournament. Wasn't really a pick of mine to win or anything like that, although a lot of people have him in the outright market. I've got him plus 110 in a 3-ball against Webb Simpson and Nico Echeverria. This is a no-brainer to me. That doesn't mean it's going to win. It's a 3-ball. Listen, I like to do matchups because I can really isolate. So I suppose anything can happen, but I absolutely love this number. Even though it's a 3-ball, I think JJ Spawn should be like -110, -115 here. Webb Simpson, from a strokes gained metric standpoint, he didn't have a great day yesterday. He had a couple of holes where he really popped off, some really great approach shots, but overall was very inconsistent with the approach play. And Nico Echeverria, I group Webb Simpson into this too. Neither of them have been consistent at all lately. JJ Spawn has, and he's a good ball striker. He's a good course fit. He's had a checkered Pro Core championship history, but the way he's been playing lately has been good, and he's got some upside at this tournament as well, finishing 9th a few years ago. The way these guys are in terms of the recent form, this is an absolute no-brainer for me. Give me JJ Spawn plus 110 over Webb Simpson and Nico Echeverria. This one starts in 35 minutes. I believe it's 10:55 Eastern Standard Time. So if you're going to want to put this in, put it in now. All right, we go right back to Arizona, Kansas State, Chip. You've got 3 picks to give us, but we're starting with Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, we're going to start. If you watched on Wednesday, or if you are a SportsLine subscriber, which if you are not, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? All right, so I like the over. In general, I like this over. Locked it in on Wednesday's show and on the site at 58. That thing has been moving all the way up, and now it's sitting around 60.5. And here's the thing, 58, 59, like we are starting to deal with a lot of key numbers here in terms of what we're crossing over. 59 to 61 is a little bit of a dead zone. So I wanted to provide to you the endorsement of the over, but also a live number. If you're just now getting to this, something that I like, and that's to attack the Arizona team total over, because as Mike mentioned, this is a spot for the Wildcats where they're going to be hoping to get some of those offensive linemen back in the game.
Noah Fafita's elusive ability really makes him more dangerous when things break down. And Kansas State does a lot of cover one and quarters coverage, which is going to create some space where Noah Fafita is going to be able to attack down the field. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to attack down the field all throughout the game. It might take a little while to get loose. But this game, to me, I think it screams a 31-28. I think it screams a 34-31. We are right there in that spot. But all of those numbers I just gave you have Arizona getting to 28. So while I endorse a full game over, it feels like a back and forth. Last team to get the ball has a shot to tie or win. I think that when we're looking for a live number here on a Friday, Arizona team total over is another way that I would attack this. Let's go to Saturday, where I think we got two games in prime time where there is an incredible opportunity. First is going to be Georgia, Kentucky. First half under 23.5. The Kirby Smart, we are going to overwhelm this team. We know how this is going to go because it happened in the Clemson game. We're going to run the football, play great defense, maybe be a little conservative. Kentucky, meanwhile, their offense is no good. Their quarterback used to be at Georgia, so they know the entire playbook on him. And Kentucky already plays super slow. And with a team like Georgia in town, you know that they want to shrink this game. The more possessions there are, the better chance there is that the Bulldogs win. The shorter the game is, the more there is a chance of Kentucky being able to pull off the upset. So with Kentucky's pace and with Georgia's first half conservative nature that they have in a lot of these games, I love the first half under 23.5. And then one of my favorite plays of the entire day on Saturday, we're going to take Indiana and we're going to lay the 3 in the Rose Bowl playing against UCLA. Frankly, I think this is a huge coaching mismatch. Deshaun Foster, he is somebody who was on the staff at UCLA. He was able to retain some of the players who could have hit the transfer portal after Chip Kelly left. But Indiana, with Kurt Cignetti and all of his coaching experience, he brings in a staff that is mostly from James Madison. Shout out to Sia. And
there we go.
He's got a team that I think has been exceeding expectations. And look, small sample size. They haven't played anybody, but the efficiency with which this Indiana team is operating and the way that Curtis Rourke has been able to settle right in to what they want to do offensively, just really impressive to me. I think the Hoosiers get started in Big Ten play. That's right, Indiana, UCLA, a Big Ten conference game. I think they get started with the win of a touchdown or more.
Chip, let me ask you something, because I know you're on the Arizona team total over 26.5. Obviously, it's one of your 3 plays. I can't help but notice, and I know it's early, and Mike, I'm just going to kick this off of you as well, because I know you have that first quarter play. I'm not you guys in terms of studying college football like you have, certainly not at this part of the season, but I've watched Arizona play the first couple of games. I'm the one up late at night looking for a live bet and frankly looking for a way to fade Arizona because they just haven't looked good. I mean, Northern Arizona and Arizona were battling into the third quarter last Saturday night. Yep. I look at this -7, Kansas State at home, and I can't help myself. I feel like that's the play. And I understand you have the team total over, but Chip, real quick, if you had to lean one way or the other, is 7 too many points or would you lay it?
No, 7's right where I'm seeing this. Again, I think it's a high scoring, who's got the ball last, game gets a little bit sideways where you just end up going with so Kansas State's defense got shredded by Tulane. And I think that, you've got a better quarterback wide receiver combo at Arizona than what Tulane had. Meanwhile, Arizona got ripped up by New Mexico, right? I mean, that game had 100 points in it. And so I just think that if you throw out the Northern Arizona game and then throw out the FCS starter that Kansas State had in week 1, and if we only isolate the FBS on FBS competition, what we see is a couple of defenses that are far from perfect, a couple of quarterbacks that are dynamic and can make plays with their legs and with their arms. And that's why, if you were to say, hey, I'll give you Arizona +10, I would take Arizona. If you're saying it's going to be around 7, I'll take Kansas State. I think Kansas State wins this football game, but, I wouldn't take anything. I wouldn't lay a huge number with the Wildcats either.
Mike, as it relates to a lean, is 7 probably too much for you?
No, it's not. I made the number 8.5, so definitely lean that way. Starting on the game though, -1.5 first quarter. If that is not covered, then we're likely to see 6, 4.5, whatever. Much better number live. So that's when I'd be looking to buy on Kansas State at that point. But yes, I do have them -8.5 here. I think they're going to have a ton of success running the football. I really think we see them take 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock at a time.
Before we get to the recap screen real quick, Tori Beeger asks, Buckets, do you like Sheff United over 1.5 team total goals?
I actually don't like that play. I think this could be a really boring 1-0 win for Sheffield United. I would rather take the money line and risk kind of the, possible draw there. Hull City is just not a team I'm confident in. And right now, Sheffield United, specifically against them, always tend to score first and always tend to cause some offensive problems.
Mike, go ahead.
Just quickly back there, Sheffield United. Yeah, love them. No, really the Tulane game.
I was so excited for a second.
No, Tulane, though, I personally believe Tulane is a lot better than we think. We had a lot of expectations for them to see a massive drop-off with Michael Pratt leaving. I was actually extremely impressed with them in that game against Kansas State. I think they're alive to beat Oklahoma outright on the road this week. 13.5-point underdog. We've seen massive movement, though. This thing was as high as 20.5 on look-ahead lines. 19.5 even more recently. So I personally think Tulane did not take the step backwards that we thought they would this season.
And Oklahoma has been booty. I mean, they have not been good. They are
generally booty. They have generally have not been great.
Yeah, they're dropping bodies left and right. Their depth is a huge concern. Their offense has been incredibly inefficient. I'm with you on that one. I see some questions about UNLV Tulane. UNLV Kansas. I mean, obviously soccer stadium unders. Kansas is playing in the home of Sporting KC. Everyone knows you do soccer stadium unders, but really, I am kind of I'm suspect about Kansas's offense right now with Jalen Daniels. Of course, they lost their offensive coordinator to Penn State in the offseason, and I was not very impressed with them against Illinois. I think Illinois' defense is okay. I think they should have had more success. Kansas should have had more success than they did, and I thought their run defense did a good job against the Fighting Illini. Maybe a little under. I know UNLV plays that go-go offense, and so you're going to be seeing some high totals, but I might lean towards the under in that Kansas UNLV game.
All right. Absolutely loving the follow-up, everybody. We got about 500 people watching. I do want to mention, in case some of you are new, this is really just a microcosm of all the picks we have on SportsLine, including Major League Baseball picks, which will be peppered in throughout the day. If you want to join SportsLine, go to sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code WINNERS, and you get 60% off the annual plan. This includes picks. It includes articles. It includes DFS plays, Mike McClure simulations, among others. A lot to gain by being a SportsLine member. Again, sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code WINNERS, 60% off the annual plan. What an incredible show. Thank you, everyone, for being in here. New people, old people. We do this every single day at 10 o'clock. And don't forget, today at 5 o'clock, we've got the prop show for week 2 with Uncle Dave, Prop Stars, and Eric Cohen. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I've got a Procore Championship round 2 3-ball. It starts in approximately 27 minutes. JJ Spawn plus 110 over Webb Simpson and Nico Echeverria. Mike McClure, Kansas State tonight. First quarter, -1.5 at -114. Buckets, Dortmund, Heidenheim. Both teams to score, -135. And Sporting team total over 2.5 at -110. Danny Brasco, a lot of UFC picks. Sean O'Malley, money line -125. He's got that in a showdown against Buckets. Alexa Grasso, money line -135. Ronaldo Rodriguez, money line -135. And Ronaldo Rodriguez by submission +350. Chip Patterson, he's got a game tonight. Arizona team total over 26.5. And Saturday, Georgia, Kentucky, first half under 23.5. And Indiana at UCLA, Indiana -3. Wow. What a great show. Brad Betts says, I crushed the pronunciations again. That would probably be the first time I crushed the pronunciations in soccer. So very happy to hear that. Thank you. Huan says, Buckets, there's a spider behind you. That was a great moment in the show. Go back and watch that. If you're listening to the podcast, go back, check out our YouTube page, subscribe, and go back and watch what happened when Buckets was giving his take. Everyone have a great Friday. On behalf of Mike McClure, Chip Patterson, Buckets, the Spider, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s. And I didn't forget Danny Brasco with all the fight night picks. And I didn't forget you, Brad Morris, Big Cheesy, Brad Betts, Rick Funcannon, Huan, Brian Grebbins, everybody in here. Thanks for participating. Thanks for your questions, your comments, and your hitting of the like button. Have a great Friday, everybody. We'll see you very soon. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.